They thought they were tough. HOA enforcers dressed like cops smashed down his door screaming, "You're in violation." But what they didn't know was this. The man they just humiliated wasn't just another homeowner. He was a retired Navy SEAL commander, and within 48 hours, his old team was standing at the HOA headquarters, ready to teach them a lesson they would never forget. David had served his country for over 20 years. A decorated Navy SEAL, he had been through deserts, jungles, and oceans. He had seen the worst humanity could offer, but all he wanted now was peace. So he bought a modest home in a quiet neighborhood surrounded by trees with a porch where he could sip coffee at sunrise. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He was the kind of neighbor who waved hello, fixed his own fence, and kept his lawn neat. But what David didn't know was that his new home fell under the control of one of the most ruthless HOAs in the state. At first it was letters, small warnings, a mailbox that wasn't regulation height, a flower pot that didn't match the approved color palette. David shrugged them off. He had faced far worse. But the HOA board, led by Karen Simmons, a woman who called herself Madam President, saw David's calm demeanor as defiance, and to her defiance was unforgivable. That's when they sent in their so-called HOA enforcement unit, a private security group who dressed like police, carried batons, and acted like they had real authority. It was a Saturday morning when David heard it, pounding fists on his door, followed by a voice screaming, "HOA compliance unit, open up!" Before he could even reach the handle, the door splintered open. 3 men in tactical vests stormed in, yelling, "You're in violation!" They waved fake badges and shoved a stack of papers in his face. His crime, a shed in his backyard, 2 inches taller than HOA guidelines. David stood frozen, not in fear, but in disbelief. After all his years of fighting for freedom, here he was bullied in his own home by a homeowners association. When he calmly asked them to leave, one shoved him against the wall and snarled, "This isn't your military base. Around here we're in charge." And just like that they left, leaving his door broken, his dignity challenged, and his patience gone. That night, David sat in silence. Then he picked up his phone. He didn't call a lawyer. He didn't call the police. He called his brothers, his old SEAL team, men who had stormed compounds together, men who never left one of their own behind. When they heard what happened, there was no hesitation. "We've got your 6, Commander," one of them said. "Tell us when and where." 2 days later, the HOA board gathered in their fancy headquarters, a rented office they treated like the Pentagon. Karen Simmons sat at the head of the table, smug as ever, bragging about how they put the ex-military guy in his place. That's when the doors opened. In walked 6 men, broad-shouldered, calm, deadly serious. They weren't armed. They didn't need to be. Their presence alone was enough. The room went silent. David stepped forward, placing a folder on the table. Inside, photographs of the fake HOA cops, evidence of their forced entry, and a copy of the state law they had broken. Karen stuttered. What is this?" David's voice was steady. "This is the last time you harass me or anyone else in this neighborhood. Your little compliance army, illegal, your intimidation tactics, criminal. You have 24 hours to disband your fake police unit, or every agency in this state will know what you've been doing." Karen tried to laugh it off. "You don't scare me. You can't tell us what to do." That's when one of David's teammates leaned in, his voice a low growl. "Lady, we've dealt with drug cartels, warlords, and pirates. Do you really think we're afraid of a homeowners association?" The color drained from Karen's face. Within hours, the HOA's enforcement team was gone, their fake uniforms shredded, their badges confiscated. Word spread through the neighborhood. The tyrants had finally been stopped. But the story didn't end there. The very next week, David received a letter, not from the HOA, but from his neighbors. Dozens of signatures, thanking him for standing up when no one else could. It turned out families had been living in fear for years, fined for children's toys left in yards, threatened for parking in the wrong spot, silenced by Karen's fake police. Now, thanks to David, they were free, and Karen, she was forced to resign in disgrace. The HOA was investigated, fined heavily, and stripped of its so-called enforcement powers. David didn't fight back with fists. He fought with truth, law, and the loyalty of men who understood honor. The HOA thought they could intimidate him. But they forgot one thing. You don't break into the home of a Navy SEAL and walk away unscathed. And as for David, he finally got his peace, his porch, his coffee at sunrise, and a neighborhood that finally knew freedom because one man refused to bow down to bullies. Pause, soft background music. Narrator, reflective. So tell me, if fake cops smashed into your home, would you have stayed calm like David or fought fire with fire? Let me know in the comments. And if you believe no one should live under HOA tyranny, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories where justice always finds a way.